Why do some battles become legends? What makes a single day of organized violence echo through the ages, while thousands of others are lost to the dust of history? It's a question worth pondering. Is it the sheer number of lives extinguished? Sometimes. Is it the clash of famous generals? Often. But sometimes, a battle becomes immortal because it represents something more. It becomes a pivot point, a moment where the entire course of human events is violently wrenched in a new direction. These aren't just fights. They are human dramas played out on the grandest, most terrifying stage imaginable. Picture this. It's October 25th, 1415. Northern France. A narrow field hemmed in by dense woods churned into a quagmire by days of rain. On one side, you have the French army, knights, nobles, men-at-arms, resplendent in their shining plate armor, confident, numerous, on their home turf. On the other side, a tiny, bedraggled English army led by King Henry V, exhausted, sick with dysentery, hopelessly outnumbered, perhaps by as much as 5-1. By any rational calculation, the English are already dead men. This should have been a slaughter, a footnote. But Henry V had a plan. Or perhaps he had desperation, which is the mother of all plans. His army was mostly composed not of knights, but of common-born longbowmen. Henry positioned them on the flanks of his small contingent of men-at-arms, driving sharpened stakes into the ground before them. Now we jump across the ocean and forward in time to 1521. The location is the heart of the Aztec Empire. The magnificent island city of Tenochtitlan, a marvel of engineering floating in the middle of Lake Texcoco. On one side, you have the Aztec warriors defending their capital, their gods, their entire way of life. On the other side, a small band of Spanish conquistadors led by the audacious and ruthless Hernán Cortés. He has a few hundred Spaniards and thousands of allied Tlaxcalan warriors. Cortés's strategy was as brilliant as it was brutal. He understood he couldn't take the city by conventional means, so he decided to bring the fight to the water. He had 13 brigantines built high in the mountains, disassembled and carried piece by piece over miles by thousands of native porters, and reassembled on the shores of Lake Texcoco. These floating fortresses, armed with cannons, gave the Spanish control of the lake, cutting off the city's supply of food and fresh water. But the Spanish had another, more terrible weapon: disease. A smallpox epidemic, brought unknowingly from the Old World, had swept through Tenochtitlan. It ravaged the population, killing an estimated 40% in a matter of weeks. The Aztecs had no immunity, no understanding of what was happening. The final siege, which lasted for 80 days, was hell on earth. The Spanish and their allies advanced slowly along the causeways, tearing down the city building by building. The Aztecs fought for every street, every canal, with a suicidal bravery that stunned the conquistadors. When the city finally fell on August 13, 1521, it was a scene of utter devastation. It wasn't just the end of a battle, it was the end of a civilization. Let's leap forward to the 20th century, to the winter of 1942. Stalingrad. On one side, the German Sixth Army, victors of France, the seemingly invincible spearhead of Hitler's war machine. On the other side, the Soviet 62nd Army, ordered by Stalin himself, not one step back. What followed was arguably the single deadliest battle in human history. The fighting was unlike anything before. Not grand maneuvers across open fields. It was a battle for every building, every floor, every room, every sewer tunnel. The Germans called it Rattenkrieg, Rat War. Life was measured in meters. Snipers became kings of the battlefield. Then came the winter, General Winter. The brutal Russian winter arrived. The Germans were unprepared. They lacked winter clothing. They lacked proper food. They lacked adequate shelter. Frostbite became as deadly as bullets. Engines froze, weapons jammed. While the Germans weakened, Zhukov gathered massive forces on the flanks. It set the trap for Operation Uranus. In November 1942, the Soviets struck two massive pincer movements. They smashed into Romanian and Italian units. Within days, the pincers linked up. The entire German Sixth Army, over 250,000, was trapped. Hitler forbade breakout, promising resupply by air. The airlift failed catastrophically. In February 1943, the remnants surrendered, and the myth of German invincibility was shattered forever. Southern Italy, 216 BCE, Cannae. Rome fielded perhaps 80,000 men to crush Hannibal once and for all, the largest army they'd ever assembled on a single field. Hannibal arranged a subtle trap, a flexible center that would bow back under pressure, veteran Africans on the shoulders, and superior cavalry under Hasdrubal and Hanno on the flanks. The Romans surged forward in a dense mass. Hannibal yielded ground, on purpose, drawing them in. Carthaginian cavalry smashed the Roman horse, then swept behind the Roman infantry. As the Roman front pressed on, African infantry pivoted in. The cavalry sealed the rear, the first recorded complete double envelopment on this scale. In hours, Rome lost tens of thousands. Ancient sources claim up to 70,000 dead. Strategy textbooks still teach Cannae as the archetype of annihilation. The Pacific, June 1942. Midway. U.S. codebreakers at Station Hypo uncovered the target and timing of Admiral Yamamoto's strike, confirming AF as Midway. 4 Japanese fleet carriers steamed in, opposed by 3 American carriers under Admirals Fletcher and Spruance. U.S. torpedo squadrons attacked first, brutally cut down, but they dragged Japanese cap down to sea level and scattered the defense. Minutes later, SBD Dauntless dive bombers arrived over distracted carriers. In 5 minutes, Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu were fatally hit amid fueled, armed aircraft. Hiryu struck back and crippled Yorktown, but U.S. dives found and sank Hiryu by day's end. Japan lost 4 elite carriers and irreplaceable aircrews. The initiative shifted to the United States, a true hinge of the war in the Pacific. So what do these stories of English archers in the mud, Spanish ships in the mountains, and Soviet soldiers in the rubble tell us? They show us that history does not move in a straight line. It lurches and pivots on moments of extreme violence and desperation. These battles are the crucibles where the fate of empires, cultures, and ideologies are decided. They remind us that nothing is inevitable. The French should have won at Agincourt. The Aztecs should have crushed Cortés. The Germans should have taken Stalingrad, but they didn't. In the chaotic calculus of war, the unexpected is the only thing you can expect. These conflicts reveal the terrifying and awe-inspiring adaptability of human beings. When faced with annihilation, we find ways to innovate. We build ships on mountains. We turn a ruined city into an impregnable fortress. We use a simple wooden bow to defeat the most advanced armor of the day. And in those extremes, in that furnace of war, we see a raw, unfiltered, and timeless reflection of ourselves.